Hi everybody and welcome to the town of Sucre in Bolivia.
It's been an interesting few days. So we first arrived into Sucre by bus from uni, had a great time there, seeing the salt flats and going on tours, that was awesome. The bus to Sucre was a bit of a mission.
So the bus departed uni at 11:30 AM and was supposed to arrive in Sucre at 7 PM, but we didn't actually get here until 10 PM. And that's because we went through the town of Potosi and the bus actually made a lot of unscheduled stops along the route. And the bus went from being nice and calm and, you know, a few people dotted around in the seats to being absolutely packed. And there was one point where I had a local sat on the other side of the aisle facing me.
That was so weird.
And I would like feel his hand here sometimes. And I actually crunched my elbow down on his hand
because he had his hand on his seat
because he wasn't getting a polite message, so I had to do that, and it all ended up okay.
And then at Potosi we had to get off the bus and get on another bus, and whilst we waited to get on the other bus, someone came up to us and tried to charge us for being at their bus station. We're like, excuse me? Like, we're just standing here because we got made to get off the bus, and now you want to charge us some money for using your bus station?
It just took forever going through Potosi, even after leaving the bus terminal and that lady coming on board and trying to charge us. We made other unscheduled stops, but I was quite anxious about arriving here because having seen what happened in Potosi, I wasn't sure if it would be obvious where to get off in Sucre, and it wasn't. The bus stopped a few times, and then eventually everyone got off, including these other European-looking people who were travellers as well.
So we figured we'd get off.
The bus just stopped at the side of a busy road, and then some taxis stopped in front and behind the bus.
So it's like an unofficial bus station.
Okay, I guess we're getting off here then.
So our Airbnb apartment looked really nice on Airbnb, and it had 47 reviews. They were all really good, different people, posted at different times of the year, like a couple of years apart, all different names, and they all said really nice things. It had literally like a 4.79 score out of 5. But what I would say is he did a fantastic job of the photos, because there were some things that weren't shown in photos. If you saw our last video, you'll see the disaster that we had there, so I won't go into it and bore you too much.
Yeah, check that out.
But since we made that video, we've now had a message from Airbnb, and they gave us a full refund, even though I didn't ask for a full refund. I was just asking for the money back because we had to leave early because we just couldn't stay there, it wasn't safe. And they investigated his account. I think all the reviews were fake. He's been taken off of Airbnb, and I asked them what on earth happened, what kind of danger were we in, and they just said, due to our privacy policy we can't let you know, but here's your money back and we're really sorry. I was like, wow, glad we got out of that place. You know, just trust your gut.
Anyway, go and check that video out. This is about Sucre and our experience since then.
We woke up yesterday, had a lovely relaxing morning, and I booked us the walking tour just because I was like, come on, let's go see the city. And then we went to meet our tour guide with Guru Walking Tours. His name was Jose, and we went to meet him at the Domingo Church, which is literally just there. So I arrived at the gates of the church at 2:31. He was nowhere to be seen, this tour guide. He told us that he had a grey jacket on, so I'm looking around and I'm going, Jose, Jose, anyone called Jose? And there were just these 3 schoolgirls that didn't speak in English.
We went up a couple of streets like within a block of the meeting location and absolutely nothing. But eventually we found somewhere, and there was this lovely guy who we met.
And there was this guy called Tobias, and he just said, I could take you for a tour, like an unofficial tour around. He was working in a tour place. We were just like, are you sure? That's really kind of you. He was like, yeah, I'll do a free walking tour. So we ended up with a fantastic private tour, the 2 of us, and Tobias took us to all these wonderful sites, and I showed him the list on my phone of all the places that we were supposed to go with our original tour guide, and he was like, yeah, I know all those, let's do the route, we'll do that.
So we started the tour with Tobias, and he took us up the hill to an amazing viewpoint looking out across the whole of Sucre to an area called Recoleta. And there were these streets and this beautiful hotel which he recommended, and we then walked through some markets to the main Recoleta Square, which you basically have this covered walkway with lots of arches, and at the time of day the sun was very low in the sky, so you just got this beautiful light coming through the arches and an incredible view out across Sucre. Yeah,
it was a lovely time to arrive there, and guess who we bumped into while we were up there? It was so awkward. I was just looking, and I think it was...
I said to you, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's
Jose. Yeah, because there was a guy in a grey jacket and 3 couples, which should have been 4 couples.
So yeah, Tobias showed us around the rest of Recoleta Square. There was a beautiful fountain in the centre, which he said had been switched off for a long time, but there were some other beautiful features. There was a church there, and there was also this like plinth with a sundial on, and a couple of other buildings, and there were some locals there in the square just selling things as well. And from there we just walked a few more steps down some narrow streets to a place called the Cat's Alley, I think it was called.
Yeah, it's like a couple of streets where basically it's very small and cars don't really go down there, and everyone who lives in those houses owns multiple cats, we're told. And one of the streets is called Gato Blanco, and another one's called Gato Negro, which is black cat, white cat. And you look around all the little corrugated roofs and there's just lots of cats walking around. When we went, there weren't any cats, they were just all chilling. But yeah, Tobias told us that one of his friends lives there and has multiple cats as well.
And from there we walked down a couple of more narrow streets, and then we went to a place where there was the house of the mayor of Sucre, I think. And in that area was the start of the most affluent street in Sucre.
Cala Fortune, which
Cala
I found
Fortune,
really
yeah.
funny. It just literally means Fortune Street. Like,
Yeah.
if you live here, you've got a fortune.
Yeah, and it was a pretty street, but to be honest, you couldn't really see the houses. You could maybe see the roofs of them. There were just walls and big gates.
Yeah, and then we kind of left that area and walked back down all the streets, saw Tobias's old school, and then went inside this church, which was really cool. There were nuns in there praying. A few tourists were sort of going in the back quietly, and we had a little look around, and there was like the oldest organ in there, which was really cool. Saw a cool ice cream van, a retro ice cream van.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And then made our way back into like the main square, the main centre again, which was nice because we walked around it a few times ourselves, desperately looking for a tour guide, not knowing what any of the buildings were. And we could see obviously they've got all these beautiful old colonial buildings. And the city is known as the White City because back in the 16th century it was all painted white by the Spanish when it was colonised. And then in the centre of the square you've got this statue of Simon Bolivar, who was one of the guys involved in the planning of getting rid of all the colonies and getting the Spanish out. So it was cool to actually understand all that stuff, you know, without a tour guide we wouldn't know these things. And just learning what each of the buildings are, the cathedral, the really cool Liberty building, which is where Simon Bolivar and Jose something de Sucre, which the place is named after, signed and planned all this stuff.
Yeah, the main square is absolutely beautiful, and the architecture all around is so worth going to see. If you come to Sucre, make sure you go to the main square, if nothing else. We actually went into the town square on a Sunday a couple of days ago, and they block off the streets to all the traffic, so it was bliss in the centre. Yeah,
really nice. Wish we'd had a tour that day. We didn't have any time that day, we just arrived. So. And then after the main square we walked through and found the best chocolate in Bolivia.
Yeah.
We were told.
It's the best chocolate shop, and Kirsty got me a chocolate orange chocolate on Tobias's recommendation, and it was very good. And they were very friendly in there as well. Go to the chocolate shop in Sucre.
Artisan chocolate.
Yeah, it was very nice.
And that was just on our route down to Parque Bolivar, which we wanted to go and see. But by this point it was getting into night, so we had like a night tour, which was nice. Wouldn't want to go there in the night by ourselves though.
I think, well, from what Tobias was saying, early evening is okay, but later on, once
we were still
people
early.
go out and start to drink and things like that. There was a really big running track around the edge of the park. There was what they call the Arc de Triomphe there as well. There was a big governmental building to our right-hand side, and to our left there was also a faculty building to our left-hand side. By the time we got there it was dark, but you could appreciate the beauty of the park for sure.
Yeah, and they've got a thing for France because they also had a little teeny Eiffel Tower inside the park as well, which was under scaffolding and looked a little bit sorry for itself. But I was like, they've got the Arc de Triomphe, they've got the Eiffel Tower. Like, we're in South America, huh?
Yeah, Tobias did say they made these things to bring a bit of a European influence to the city as well. Yeah. And on the edge of the park there was also a food market as well. Tobias recommended going to a museum today, and he said to come and grab him, so I think
he wants to hang out with us again.
Recommendation, I think he's just very happy to get out of the office, and he's such a kind guy.
Sucre for us has been a tale of two halves, as you can probably tell. We've had a bit of a crazy time of it. It's been an adventure, but the buildings are beautiful. The actual main town, we have loved being here, and it's really nice. I highly recommend to stay right in the centre. Don't book any dodgy Airbnbs. Nothing against Airbnb itself. And we have found some really nice places to eat and drink. our experience yesterday was so authentic because he's not like a general tour guide. He just works for a tour company that books flights and things, but he knows the city well. So he was just giving us a genuine answers to things. We were asking him questions. I was asking him about graffiti that I kept seeing because I'm learning Spanish and I'm reading this graffiti and it was all about protecting girls, and I could see a lot of stuff saying about that, and I wanted to ask, what does this all mean? And he basically said that there was like a protest recently with like 8,000 people protesting against the attacks on girls in this country.
Just a few recommendations if you're thinking about coming to Bolivia. One of my top things would be look carefully into what bus you're booking, because I think we booked a bit more of a basic bus, and if I did it again I'd go for one of the bigger, more national or international looking companies and buses. Nothing bad happened on the bus, but it was a real slog, and it really drained us and led to us feeling more ill. Accommodation, I would highly recommend booking yourself somewhere like a hostel, somewhere where they have people who it's in their interest to look out for you. So somewhere with a reception desk, some information all within the place that you're staying. Book yourself somewhere into a hotel or a hostel where you've got security, you can ask questions and get information and food all within one place. It's a must in Bolivia for me.
For us, we said this yesterday that of all of our travels, Bolivia has probably been the most difficult country for us to travel around.
Yeah.
And he said he kind of understood why, because he said, you know, Bolivians are sort of known, like especially here in Sucre, he said they don't really want to sort of interact. And the short of that is basically, if you come here, expect to have to use some Spanish.
We went to a lovely restaurant which is just across the road from our accommodation called Wow Healthy Food or something like that. Recommend you to go there because the food's really nice, and so's the service. And so is the lady who runs it. Come to Sucre because it is beautiful. The old buildings are beautiful. We have felt safe walking around, although it is very busy, but certainly in the centre it's fine walking around day or night.
I recommend you only need like a night or two here. You can kind of just see it all very quickly. Or you can see it by yourself if you're not interested in hearing about the history, but we like to actually learn and you know, learn a bit about the culture while we're in these places.
And experience.
We've done that. It's tricky travelling around South America. Everybody says that, and yeah, we're just here to kind of confirm it is.
Yeah.
Bolivia's been the trickiest so far, but it is worth it. If you really want to see these places, it is worth it. But yeah, so we just thought this is kind of the best way for us to show you our experience, because it all went a little bit tits up, basically. But we've still had fun, and it's been an adventure, and now we are getting ready, packing up. Yeah, we're going to pack up. We've got stuff everywhere here. We're going to pack up, go grab some coffee and some lunch, and then get out of here tomorrow and see some more of Bolivia.
Go and see La Paz, Copacabana and Lake Titicaca. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you're enjoying our South America series. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We really appreciate. And check out our Patreon as well. It really helps. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
See you soon.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye.